We've been really struggling here in the boatyard.
It's all rotten and moldy down here. Look at that.
Still don't have refrigeration here, so we're having to go to the store and get ice every day to keep a few things cold so we can eat.
I'm Melissa, and this is Ted. We bought a sailboat in the fall of 2024, and in real time, we're nearing the end of a huge refit. We're so glad you're here to catch up on the journey that brought us to this point. Hello, friends. Welcome back. Summer has finally arrived in Massachusetts, and we're at the boatyard every day, working to restore Selah to her former glory. We've already checked a few projects off the list. We tested for moisture in the rudder and luckily didn't find any. We charged the Epic batteries back up from their winter hibernation and found that there's still a short somewhere in the electrical system. We removed the former name and hailing port from the hull. We purchased a used feathering prop and brought it in for servicing. We took our life raft to Maine to be serviced and tested. And we dropped the mainsail, measured it, and had it washed and conditioned. Ted has been researching various sail lofts so we can decide where to have our new sails made. We had hoped to be preparing Selah to splash by now. However, we've barely scratched the surface on our long list of vital repairs and upgrades that must be made before Selah is dropped in the water.
So what did you do today?
I cleaned.
You cleaned?
Yes, cleaned a bunch of drawers and floors and kitchen appliances and...
Yeah, we actually, looks like we have a kitchen over there now.
I mean, I did clean all that in the fall, but it was kind of icky from sitting here all winter, so...
Yeah. And I made a bunch of phone calls today trying to look for alternatives with people that could do like the bottom blasting. I also looked into what kind of different anti-fouling that we're going to put in, and actually moreover to start with is a barrier coat and how we're going to prep the boat, keep it very watertight with an epoxy barrier coat. We are going to be replacing the through holes in the boat and the valves. Those are bronze valves, and it's about, at the time, the boat's about 15 years old, so they're getting a little cruddy. Some of them have broke off last winter when we were trying to leave. And so we want the boat to be safe, everything from the water line down. And so so it's been a whole process of getting everything lined up of how we're going to do that. But anyhow, that's what we're doing now, is this big planning process. And hopefully when we get all of our ducks in a row, we'll pull the trigger and it'll just be mad boat projects after boat projects. I mean, this boat was, in fact, unfortunately hit by a halo of lightning strike.
I'm sure we've told that story before.
Right. So we've got a lot of components that went bad, and we're replacing them as we go, as we find out which ones need to be replaced. But anyways, that's all part of the process.
A complicated process of one thing being dependent on another thing and things having to be done in a certain order.
That's right.
As a little break from all the frustrations and setbacks we were experiencing in the boatyard, we spent a day in Boston to celebrate our anniversary. We took a donut tour and learned some interesting history of the city, and we walked some of the Freedom Trail too.
One of two ways, either quickly and exciting for you, here or slowly and exciting for me.
We've been really struggling here in the boatyard. I don't know what the deal is with the weather here. I don't know if it's normally like this in June in Massachusetts, but it's, first of all, not what we were expecting at all. And secondly, aside from a couple random days where it's been in the 70s and sunny, almost all the time it's been in the upper 50s to low 60s and raining. So it's really not the kind of weather that's conducive to getting boat projects done, because a lot of the stuff we have to do is outside. So everything has kind of been put on hold. Every project is kind of contingent on other projects getting done first. And so we're just having a hard time organizing everything and what's been going on this week.
Well, this week has been kind of slow as far as getting huge projects done. I had to remove a hot water heater that was leaking. It was brand new, according to the broker, but once we pulled it out, I found out it was a 2013. That puts it at about 12 years. Anyhow, so it rotted the floor. It had a formica on both sides and plywood, and it was a one-piece floor.
It's all rotten and moldy down here.
Yeah, I can see
And
it.
it was put in when the boat first been built, and that flooring went over one of the bilges, and so you could never access that bilge, but once that's in. And we could have never pulled that board out unless it completely rotted, so I could just punch it and break it after I managed to pull a bunch of things apart to get the hot water heater out. So once I got the hot water heater out, we pulled the board out, and the only thing that was salvageable was the formica that we used to make a pattern of the bilge area there. It has a recess to put a lid there. What we decided to do is take, because it was about maybe 32 inches wide by about 31 inches. And so what we did is we bought some 12-inch by 3/4 inch oak boards, hardwood boards, and we used the formica for a pattern, and we cut it out and then shaped it with a sander, and then so basically what we did is we made a 3-piece board section that would go in, so that if we ever had to pull it out, we could pull it out one piece at a time, and it would come out the hole where the hot water heater came out. Anyways, I rebuilt the hot water heater and rewired it and cleaned it out and got it all set up, and we epoxied those boards with a white epoxy and let it kick off, and then those fit in perfectly.
5-to-1 ratio would be 2 ounces with it. This is the slower cure hardener. This is the Less Systems 105. So really the resin and the hardener is, it gets a little bit of a cloudy look. And you need to like thoroughly mix it. until it starts clearing up. And this resin has quite a long pot life because of the hardener is a slower curing agent hardener. But remember, when you have it all in a container like this, it starts cooking quickly. And so the last thing you want to do is leave it in a container like this. Objectively, you need to spread it out like in a pan where your roller is going to be. In this case, I'm just going to be pouring it right on the parts and just using a roller to move it around. It's hard to see, but it's kind of getting clear. See that? I can already feel the chemical reaction between the hardener and the resin. It's starting to warm up. What we're going to end up doing here in this part is we're going to put some white pigment in. A little of this white pigment goes a long ways. Really turns stuff really white quick.
See it? You can actually see it in there.
The reason why I elevated them is so you can get the edges. Then we installed the hot water heater, and there you go. We put all the cabinets back to hide all of that, and that took a process. That was probably, I would say, about a week from start to finish. In the meantime, I was down in the main bilge where the batteries sit. It's where the deck is raised in the salon area, and just underneath of that deck is where the batteries sat. We installed lithium iron phosphate batteries in there. That was a temporary thing when we thought we were going to leave last fall, but anyways, I ended up pulling those batteries out a month ago or so because I had to get in there and completely rewire everything, and we decided to buy a new inverter charger. So it was a 3,000 watt inverter charger, and it was the same make and model of the other one, except for maybe 200 amp larger, and it was a hybrid version which accommodated the way lithium batteries charge. And that particular one would fit right in to the spot of where the other one came out, and the other one was quite a chore to get it out, and I could do that once the hot water heater was out. So we got the inverter charger connected in. I had to do a lot of custom stuff though to make it happen, and it was a little frustrating, but we got it done, and I made it a little bit stronger than it was as far as the connections on the cables and everything.
It's the third week of June. We're obviously still scorcher today. I think it got up to 93, feels like 99. It literally went from 60 degrees to 90 degrees in like a day. Ted's down below right now. He's just finished wiring up the new inverter, and then he's got to work on getting the battery system back up and running. We still don't have refrigeration here, so we're having to go to the store and get ice every day to keep a few things cold so we can eat here.
Needless to say, we've got the Boatyard blues. Each time we take something apart to fix it, we find 2 or 3 more things that need to be repaired or replaced. We're waiting for the rigger and the bottom blaster to be able to fit us into their schedules, and things are moving much more slowly than we hoped they would. However, we have found an antidote to the Boatyard blues, taking walks in this lovely coastal town we're stuck in. Let's take a sunset walk along the river and enjoy the twilight beauty and ice cream. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate you and would love to read your comments below. Join us next week as we explore some of the New Hampshire and Maine coast and get some bad news about our prop